Hello everyone, welcome back to the Strike Point Media channel. Please subscribe and like my videos. It all began in the dead of night when a wave of high-precision long-range missiles carved through Russian air defenses, striking the Moscow city tower complex with devastating force. The city skyline shook, windows shattered, and flames erupted dozens of floors high. In the hours to follow, footage and eyewitness reports flooded in, scorched facades, thick black smoke rising over the city, and the realization that Ukraine had once more hit deep into the Russian capital. That opening moment, the shock, the sheer audacity, set the tone for what's arguably one of the boldest strategic strikes in recent memory. Tonight, we'll break down the attack in full. The exterior damage, the interior devastation, the performance of the strike, safety or defense aspects, unique implications, estimated cost, and what this means going forward. From the outside, the Moscow City Tower complex looks like a modern cluster of glass and steel high-rises. Leak facades, angular edges, mirrored windows, steel trusses. But after the strike, the exterior was transformed into a war zone. Huge gashes in the facade, upper floors scorched black, twisted metal frames jutting outward. You could see where missiles impacted, punching through the outer shell, ripping away entire window walls, leaving skeletal beams exposed. Fires still smolder, cascading smoke pouring into the night sky. Surrounding buildings were damaged by shockwaves and debris, shattered windows, damaged parapets, and trailing cracks in adjacent towers. Debris littered the plaza and streets below, twisted glass, fragments of facade panels, chunks of concrete. Emergency lighting flickered inside, casting eerie shadows. Streetlights bent, lampposts knocked over. Cars parked near the building were scorched or crushed under falling debris. The scale of destruction impressed itself on every passerby. High up, entire office floors were gutted, outer shells stripped away like skins. Outside, firefighters battled flare-ups, water jets carving through smoke, orange flames dancing against blackened steel. The night view showed a blazing tower rising in the heart of Moscow, symbolic as much as tactical. Inside, the destruction was even more harrowing. The interior spaces, offices, lobbies, corridors, utility rooms, all suffered extreme damage. The lobby, once grand with marble and polished surfaces, now lies strewn with debris, ceiling panels collapsed, light fixtures dangling by wires. The reception desk is shattered, glass fragments scattered across the polished floor now smeared with soot. In what used to be meeting rooms, walls are blown outward or caved in. Desks and chairs are thrown aside, documents burned or strewn across the floor, computers melted, cables dangling. Entire sections of floors have collapsed inward, creating voids where double-height rooms have opened like wounds. Stairwells are blocked by debris, smoke, filled air reducing visibility. Elevators' shafts are compromised, elevator cars jammed, cables severed, doors bent. In corridors, you see scorched walls, wiring hanging out, sprinklers triggered and still dripping, emergency lighting flickering. Ventilation and duct systems partially collapsed, vents clogged with rubble. In bathrooms, fixtures are broken, pipes ruptured, water flooding floors. Broken glass, chunks of ceiling tiles, insulation, office equipment, everything is intermingled in a chaotic wreck. Utility rooms show torn conduits, burst pipes, exposed mechanical systems. In server rooms, the racks are twisted and partially burned, some blackened by fire, others drowned in sprinkler water. The smell of smoke and burning plastic lingers in every corner. The destruction is total, areas once bustling with workers now silent and deadly. You can almost trace the missile paths by following the most damaged corridors upward, When it comes to performance, or more precisely, the execution of the strike, it seems flawless in many respects. The missiles penetrated multiple layers of air defense before impact, implying either saturation attacks or novel counter-stealth capabilities. The strike precision is very high. Critical structural and facade elements were intentionally hit, not just random impact zones. Multiple independent warheads or submunitions appear to have been used. We see damage across diverse zones, from upper floors to mid-levels, suggesting different trajectories. Timing appears synchronized to hit key hours, possibly targeting backup infrastructure or command systems during a vulnerable window. The strike achieved shock value, demonstrating both capability and psychological impact. Radar, air defense systems, and counter measures apparently could not fully intercept or mitigate the attack. Some missile debris were intercepted, but the bulk got through. Fire suppression systems inside the tower appear to have been overwhelmed quickly, implying that internal compartmentalization failed or was insufficient against such sustained strike. The fact that fires remain burning many hours later suggests damage to water mains or fire pumps. In short, the strike's performance reveals a combination of advanced stealth, coordination, and precise targeting. In terms of safety features or defensive measures, Moscow City Tower had typical high-end protections, reinforced facades, ballistic glass in critical areas, fire suppression and sprinklers, backup power systems, internal compartmentalization, blast doors, and external security perimeters. But in this strike, many of those measures were either circumvented or overwhelmed. The reinforced facade in places is sheared off, glass shattered even where ballistic glazing might have been. Fire suppression systems appear to be partially disabled or destroyed, possibly by detonation or secondary explosions. Backup power systems likely failed where damage severed conduits or systems. Compartmentalization may have limited spread in some zones, but the missile paths appear to have intentionally targeted multiple compartments. Blast doors may have held in lower levels, but in upper areas, walls and partitions simply gave way. External security perimeters failed to prevent debris and secondary hazards from affecting surroundings. Some internal safe rooms or hardened areas may still stand, but their status is unclear. In short, the defensive features appear outmatched by the scale and sophistication of the attack. The unique selling points or strategic implications of this strike are multiple. First, it signals that Ukraine can strike deep into Moscow's heart, something previously considered nearly taboo or impossible. It degrades not just infrastructure but morale, sending a message directly to the core of Russian power. Second, the precision and scale demonstrate a leap in Ukrainian missile/drone capabilities or external support. This is not brute force, this is surgical. Third, it forces Moscow to divert defensive resources to its own capital, stretching defenses across a broader front. Fourth, it undermines the notion of invulnerability behind Moscow's security bubble, introducing uncertainty and fear among civilians and elites. Fifth, it offers a psychological boost to Ukraine and its supporters, showing that the war is not one-sided. Sixth, it plays into information warfare. Images of a burning Moscow tower will reverberate globally, influencing public opinion, diplomacy, and alliances. Seventh, it may degrade critical infrastructure inside the tower, communications, command nodes, perhaps even intelligence hubs inside that complex. Eighth, it forces Russia to rebuild, divert resources, and reconsider allocation of strategic systems. All told, this strike is not just physical damage, it's a potent symbolic weapon. Estimating cost is tricky, but reports place the strike at around $2 billion in damages. This figure includes structural damage, lost business, repair costs, disruption, and associated losses. The missiles themselves likely cost tens of millions depending on the type, guidance, warheads, support systems. The logistic and planning cost is also substantial: surveillance, intelligence, timing, decoys, infiltration, support. Rebuilding the tower facades, structural repairs, reintegration of systems, and restoration of infrastructure would account for a large portion of that $2 number. Insurance, business losses, rent, office operations, displacement, and cascading economic impacts add up. In effect, every dollar invested in the strike yields far more in strategic damage. So not only was it bold, it was cost-effective in the asymmetry of war. In conclusion, Ukraine's $2 billion strike on Moscow City Tower is a watershed moment. It forces a reckoning. No city is out of reach, no tower is above fire. The exterior destruction and interior ruination speak to both physical might and psychological warfare. The performance demonstrates a leap in capability, while the defensive measures were found wanting. Strategically, the attack shifts narratives, compels reallocation of resources, and elevates the stakes. The cost is staggering, but in a war where perception is power, the return is amplified. As Russia scrambles to respond, rebuild, and retaliate, Ukraine may gain breathing room, leverage, and momentum. This isn't just damage to a building, it's damage to aura, to confidence, to the idea of invincibility. If you found this breakdown informative, please hit like and subscribe, and ring the bell to stay tuned for further updates.